I've never been in that. What's the
Call the November 21st, 2016 regular board meeting of the Painesville City Local Schools to order. Ms. Samak, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Costello.
Present.
Mr. Powers.
Here.
Ms. Powers-Dolney.
Here.
Ms. Remington.
Present.
Mr. Tackett.
Here. If we'd all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Remington, Ms. Powers. Any conversation or discussion? Hearing none, if you'd call the roll, please.
Mr. Costello.
Yes.
Mr. Powers.
Yes.
Ms. Powers-Dolney.
Yes.
Ms. Remington.
Yes.
Mr. Tackett.
Yes. Item number 2 is hearing of the public on agenda items. The Board of Education recognizes the value to school governance of public comment and on educational issues, and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. As outlined in the Board of Education Bylaws 0169.1, the board shall provide times and sorry, my screen reset. The board shall provide times, a period for public participation in all regular meetings, and such participation shall be permitted only as is indicated on the order of business for that meeting. This typically occurs at 2 points in the agenda. The first opportunity occurs during the hearing of the public on agenda items. This portion is designated for comment on specific agenda items under consideration by the Board of Education. The second opportunity occurs during hearing of the public on non-agenda items. This portion is designated for comment on school matters of community interest. Guidelines for public participation include the following. Attendees must register their intention to participate in the public portion of the meeting upon their arrival at the meeting. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 5 minutes in duration unless extended by the presiding officer. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. The complete set of rules for public participation is contained in Bylaw 0169.1 and is available at all meetings of the Board of Education. They may also be found at the website, which is www.pcls.net. Ms. Samak, is there
Mr.
anyone?
President, there's nothing signed in.
Okay. You don't have to, no.
There's nobody on.
If there's no one on it.
Okay, you can later.
All right, moving to item 3, minutes. 3.1 is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting from October 10th, 2016. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Powers, Ms. Powers-Dolney. Any corrections or conversation? Hearing none, Ms. Samak, could you call the roll?
Mr. Powers.
Yes.
Ms. Powers-Dolney.
Yes.
Ms. Remington.
Yes.
Mr. Costello.
Yes.
Mr. Tackett.
Yes. Item 3.2 is approval of the minutes of the board's special meeting October 21st, 2016. Is there a motion for those?
So moved.
Mr. Costello.
Second.
Ms. Remington. Any corrections or conversation? Hearing none, Ms. Samak, could you call the roll?
Ms. Powers-Dolney.
Yes.
Ms. Remington.
Yes.
Mr. Costello.
Yes.
Mr. Powers.
Yes.
Mr. Tackett.
Yes. Item 3.3, approval of the minutes from the board work session of October 27th, 2016. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Powers-Dolney. Is there a second? Mr. Powers. Any corrections or conversation? Hearing none, if you'd please call the roll.
Ms. Remington.
Yes.
Mr. Costello.
Abstain.
Mr. Powers.
Yes.
Ms. Powers Dolny?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes. Item 4, presentations. 4.1, Writer of the Week Award winners.
Mrs. Camper, I'll have you come down and introduce our guest writer for this evening.
Good evening, big crowd tonight. Congratulations to our Maple Elementary School WOW winner, Braden. Braden was selected to be our Writer of the Week and was presented with a certificate of achievement that allowed him to choose a prize from the Writer's Toolbox. His teacher, Ms. Chapone, submitted his essay, Being a Good Citizen, because he did a great job listing examples of how to be a good citizen so that others can learn from his writing. He also did a great job of using transition words, and he was able to read the book and use the ideas, but was able to expand on them with his own ideas. So the PCLS Curriculum Department would like to recognize his hard work, and he is here tonight to read a passage from his essay. So Braden, if you're ready to come up.
Absolutely.
Being a good citizen by Braden Chippy. Everyone who helps the community is a good citizen. Helping the community is important. One way to be a good citizen is to stop pollution. Please help stop pollution so we can breathe happily, clean up even if it's not yours. Second, you can be a good citizen by not bullying. Don't bully because it's not nice. Please respect others because it is nice. Third, make sure you vote. Vote. It makes some people happy because you like them. Voting makes the country a better place. There are thousands of good citizens. Are you a good citizen?
Braden, can you introduce the folks that came to see you today, that came to visit?
Brenda Street, Dolan Banker, Sandy Lee, Christy Champion, and Jose.
Well, they must all be very proud of you. Congratulations. Thank you, Mrs. Camper and the Curriculum Department. Next up, I would like to invite down Coach Yoakum. We are very honored this evening to present this resolution to one of our students at Harvey, and I'll allow Coach Yoakum to give you a little information and read the resolution along with our athletic director, Mr. Seth Hartman. So I'll turn it over to you, Coach Yoakum.
You want to read this, and just tell me a little bit about it, or what?
Sure. All right. So you were here to present Jose Reynoso with this award. I guess the first thing I want to say is, and I know I've seen a lot of the soccer players down there this summer too, but we started our cross-country practice in early July, and when Jose got there, he had actually started running in early June and had a lot of the teammates working with him. He didn't cut any corners. He did everything that he had to do to get where he was. It didn't matter what we did at practice. If he needed to hit the mileage he was trying to hit, he would do a second run in the evening. He would make a stay to get his lifting in, make the team do the core work, all the little things that it takes, to be a champion. Even at the district meet, he finished 18th to qualify to the regional meet. And the regional meet was probably one of the toughest in the state. It had, every big school you could think of, St. Ignatius, St. Ed's, all the big schools there. He came back in the regional meet and beat, out of the 18 kids, he beat 15 of them at the regional meet to actually qualify to the state meet. So anyhow, he set a great example in the classroom, out of the classroom, and he did all the things that it takes to be a champion. So well deserved for Jose. So I'll let Mr. Hartman read this.
So
officially, Schools Board of Education, through official resolution, recognizes and honors Jose Reynoso, whereas the Painesville City Local Schools Board of Education is committed to providing opportunities that enable every student to achieve maximum personal growth, academic and athletic achievement. And whereas the Board of Education feels genuine pride in honoring outstanding achievement and the accomplishments of the students of the Painesville City Local School District. And whereas Jose Reynoso was a member of the 2016-17 Harvey Cross Country team, whereas Jose placed 5th in the Cardinal Invitational, helped his team place 1st overall, 4th in the Mentor meet, and 4th in the Legends meet, helping the team finish 6th out of 38 teams, and 2nd in the Madison and Walsh Jesuit meets. And whereas in recognition of his outstanding season, Jose placed 1st in the conference meet, winning the CVC championship and becoming a qualifier for both the regional and state competitions. And whereas through his athletic achievement and outstanding sportsmanship has brought immeasurable pride to Thomas W. Harvey High School, the Painesville City Local School District, and the Painesville community. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Painesville City Local Schools Board of Education commends Jose Reynoso for his dedication to athletic excellence and salutes the honor he has brought to the Painesville City Local School District and the community, presented this 21st day of November 2016. Jose, could you please come on up?
Next, I'd like to call down Coach Sizzler. Coach Sizzler is here this evening to recognize what I think is a first for Heritage Middle School sports, and that is a first place finish in the CBC and CBC champs.
We had a first place finish, man, undefeated.
Undefeated first place
Yes.
finish.
Fantastic.
So I'll let Coach Sizzler say a few words about her team and their journey this year to this memorable event, and then I'll have a presentation to all those players on the team and coaches.
All right, a little nervous. I talk in front of students all the time, but not all adults usually. Our season this year, we had a great season. Like Mr. Yoakum said, we started even in off-season last year in the winter, doing indoor with the boys. In the spring, we did conditioning all the way from April all the way through August when we started our first day of mandatory practice. The boys worked hard throughout the season. In the off-season, they had to be able to meet mile times to be able to even play in games at all. During the season, we had great games. We were 16-0. We beat University with a score of 3-1. We did really, really well every game we played. All the other coaches that we competed against told us, you know, if there was a states for middle school soccer, you guys would definitely be going to it. So throughout the season, they did a great job and they worked hard and they definitely deserved the CBC victory and the undefeated season.
Yes.
Okay. So,
have them come down and bring it.
absolutely.
Okay, you want to
So, awesome job, by the way. Let's give a round of applause. Let's bring it up. So each player, you did a fantastic job. You get a superintendent's certificate of recognition signed by John J. Shepard. Very, very fancy.
It's
we're-
T, but it's okay.
T. Shepard, even more fancy. And we're excited that you guys are part of this. And Coach is going to read off the names as you get your official certificate. So you can start right here. Yes.
Hector Aguero. He's here. Israel Arredondo. You can come down, Israel. Come down. Makai Arrington, Edgar Camarillo, Rod Coffey, Jaden DeBevick, Brian Fonseca, Alex Gama, Turbo Gray, Juan Campos Lara, Alex Yamas, Roberto Marquez, Brian Morales, Eduardo Moreno Perez, Raymond Murillo, Jose Pacheco, Jonathan Pena, Brian Poole, Jose Rea, Ricardo Square, Francisco Villa, Lucas Walter, Jose Valdez, Jacob Padilla, Brian Razzo, Yair Tapia, Brian Torres, and Damian Bedla.
We have another resolution to be adopted this time, which is a special resolution, and it goes to Coach Sizzler. And while we wait for that, would you like to introduce your other coaches that
Yeah.
assisted you? Because I know that you're married to them, Stephen, and we'd like to make sure you go home without recognizing them.
Yes, I was thinking about that when I was calling them up. Dan Sisler, why don't you come on up? He helped throughout the whole season. He is, and I'm not just saying this because I'm married to him, but he's the best assistant coach you could have. And hopefully this isn't because I'm married to him, but he does everything, you know, I ask. He does, helps out the coaches. He is a great help, and he also helped lead to the 16-0 season and the this season as well.
Once again, Jim couldn't be more proud. This board resolution goes to both the coaches are doing a fantastic job. And you guys are forever in history. You've done an amazing, amazing thing with your hard work by having an undefeated season and a championship season at CVC. And obviously, you did a fantastic job, but please give your coaches a round of applause. You know, obviously, okay, this is a segue into our next one. We have a presentation from the Painesville City Local Schools Board of Education. This is an official resolution that recognizes and honors head coach Natalie Sisler. Whereas Natalie is the head coach of 2016-17 Heritage Red Raider boys soccer team, has led the team in an undefeated season with a record of 16-0 with 103 goals scored while giving up only 6 goals, and completing their third undefeated season at home. And whereas under her leadership, Red Raiders won the first place championship in the CVC North Division. And whereas 2016-17 Heritage Red Raider boys soccer team, through their athletic prowess and outstanding sportsmanship, have made us amazingly proud. And so it resolved that the Board of Education commends Coach Natalie Sisler for her dedication to the students of Heritage Middle School and the Red Raider boys soccer team, and salutes the honor she has brought to the Painesville City Local Schools School District and the community. It's presented this 21st day of 2016. I just want to say before we clap her up again for this amazing thing, this tied, of course, with cross country and everything Coach Joachim did. You know, we're all one big team, one big family. This didn't just happen. I hope players and athletes, you understand what's happening. Parents, I hope you understand what's happening. This wasn't just by luck. We rolled out of bed and had some students just show up and have a good team one year. We just got lucky. These coaches, they roll up their sleeves, they model and they teach the right things, and they teach the we would hear in the academic world, grit and you know, the intestinal fortitude all the time, and it's the same thing with athletics. They really put the time in to make sure these kids understand the process it takes to be successful, and obviously in sports and in life. So, Natalie, we thank you for your efforts, and we thank everyone for what a great night this has been. Thank you, everybody.
And also to all of the parents of these players. Felicidades a todos, porque sin sus padres no se van no sé. Ahí está. Bueno, felicidades a todos, y gracias por venir. Next, I would like to call down Mrs. Ruth Haynes. Mrs. Haynes is our Director of English Second Language Learning, or English as a Second Language Learning, who will be presenting an award that was given to one of our staff members in Columbus recently at the state Ohio TESOL, thank you.
Good evening. It's my great pleasure tonight to introduce Mrs. Maria Stepnicki to you. Back in the summertime, nominated her for an award. It's the Ohio Excellence in Teaching Award for Ohio TESOL, which is the organization of teachers of English to speakers of other languages. And so Maria was up against some fierce competition around the state, and we went to the Ohio TESOL Award conference in October, and we sat there. I did not know whether or not she had won, and as the speaker began talking about Maria, I quickly could see that she was the one who was chosen. I'm just going to read you a few excerpts of what I wrote in my nomination for her. Maria Stepnicki is a principal's dream. Her concerns are always with the students, their families, and their needs. Maria is not an 8 to 2:30 teacher. She is always reading, always preparing, always creating, always searching for ways to improve the learning in her classroom. Maria knows her students well and knows what their needs are. Every lesson that she prepares provides for every student and every level. An observer walking into Maria's classroom sees a great deal of activity. Students are engaged, focused, and determined to succeed because Mrs. Stepnicki tells them they can. She does not accept no for an answer. If one method does not work, she searches endlessly until she finds a better way. In Maria's class instruction, everything is individualized for all, no matter how many students there are. Activities are designed to build on students' knowledge and push them forward. And one other little excerpt. Passion, dedication, compassion, perseverance, and optimism are just a few of the qualities that make Maria an outstanding nominee for this award. No matter what may be occurring in her own life, Maria comes to school with a smile on her face and a readiness to help all she encounters. She does not get involved with matters that do not help children. She's a team player, but a fierce advocate for our students. Maria is tireless in her efforts to bring our information forward in order to help the students in our program. It is a joy to work with her, and I am honored and blessed to know her. So it's my great pleasure to present this beautiful award for Ohio Excellence in Teaching Award to Mrs. Maria Stepnicki.
Maria, would you like to say a few words?
It was the best evening ever, especially because there's students here that I've had since kindergarten. And they know that I don't take no for an answer. And I don't take, and I can't. They can. and they do succeed. So it's for them that we do all this, all of this. Thank you.
Thank you. And students, she owes that award to you as well, because she does this for you. And so each and every day, make sure that you take time out of your schedule to thank your teachers for what they do, and all our staff members for what they do for you each and every day, because it makes PCLS a great place to learn. So thank you, and congratulations on another state award for PCLS. Thank you.
Thank you all. Item 5, new business. Our next regular meeting will be December 12th, 2016, here in the James Dillard Board Meeting Room. And then on to item 6, which is the legislative report, but I do not have a report tonight. So we will move on to item 7, treasurer's consent agenda. Yeah, that's good. We'll hold off a minute. Go, feel free. I'm sure you got homework for you.
Can we?
Yes.
Yes, it's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job, Brayden.
Great, you did an amazing job.
I don't think he wants to leave.
No, I think he likes it. He's got the phone.
All right, item 7.
Thank you.
Okay, 7.1 are the donations
Your
that,
mic is not on.
I can't get it.
Uh-oh. You broke the button.
Okay. 7.1 are the donations that were presented to the district over the past month. 7.2 is the transfers. I kind of wrote about it real quick. Avery would fund a robotics program and FBLA, and they decided they're going to fund the robotics throughout their own company, and so they're not gonna donate money to us to fund that, they're gonna do it all in-house. And so they wanted the remaining money that was allocated on our books be transferred over to FBLA. So that transfer is just granting their wish, it is their money, it's their grants, but I had them in 2 separate, so I can't just give someone's grant money to somebody else. So I just need to formally transfer that money over. And then 7.3, it is actually twofold. One, we do have new policies saying that we need to deal with stale dated checks, and it also came up in my audit that I'm getting close to having a check that's more than it's like 4 years now, so once it hits 5 years, then it kind of goes back to the general fund. So the policy states if I have an uncashed check, that I can move it back to the general fund and take the money back in. But after the check is still outstanding after 90 days, I have to move it to an unclaimed fund and get it off my reconciliation. So it's a twofold process, but this is authorizing us to create that on our books.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Ms. Dolman Powers, or Powers Tolman, Mr. Costello. Oh, geez. Any conversation or questions?
I just had one. I don't recall ever seeing a donation from the Painesville FOP before. Is that, it says pay to participate or pay to play?
I'd have to go back and look. I don't know, to be honest
I mean,
with
it's a
you.
significant amount. It's
It
never
is.
around.
They've been operating some different fundraisers,
Okay.
and they chose PCLS Athletics. Many of them help with that and the patrolling of our athletic games, so they wanted to ensure that our students had a funding source. So that was a very generous donation this year from them.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I do have one, actually. With the unclaimed checks fund, I mean, I know there's periodical circulation of letters or listings on websites and whatever. Could you kind of explain that process a little bit of what we have to do beyond just moving money into different funds?
Right, so what happens is, I mean, 9 times out of 10 people cash their checks, I mean, let's be honest. But some of them get lost in the mail, so a lot of them come back to us, and it's just, you know, an address correction, whatever the case may be. But what we do is, if we get to the point where the check is still outstanding, then we start contacting the vendor. We'll send them a letter, we'll start calling, we'll try tracking them down ourselves. And usually we're pretty successful in that. I think I added it up, it's less than $300 is what I'm looking at, that I have to move to this unclaimed fund. It's very, very minimal dollars, and a lot of it is just, we just cannot find the people. And so then, once we get to 90 days, the check itself says that it should no longer be cashed, it's, you know, voided after 90 days. So then, at that point, I have to move them into my unclaimed fund, let them sit for almost 5 years, and then it goes to my general fund. But we just internally, we don't put it in the newspaper, we don't do anything like that. We just track it down, and we take each case one by one. Like, we reach out to them, we send them letters, we call them, we try to get them their money.
Do we have to notify the county or the state at all for any of that? Okay. All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, Ms. Simic, if you call the roll.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Ms. Powers only?
Yes.
Ms. Remington?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes. Item 8, treasurer's non-action items.
Okay, 8.1 through 8.5 are the monthly reports for the month of October, but Ms. Remington did point out at the beginning of this meeting, and I'll just, in case anybody else noticed it too, our food service account was significantly in the red, and it was not our fault, it was the Department of Ed just taking a break, I don't know what they were doing, but they did not process our reimbursements in the month of October in a timely fashion. We have received October's reimbursement and November's reimbursement, so everything is now on track, but it is a glaring negative, but they just kind of fell behind in the reimbursements.
All right, thank you. Item 9, superintendent's consent agenda.
Yes, 9.1, we have disposal of some items. 9.2, new and revised policy, second reading. 9.3, a service agreement with Mentor Cares program. 9.4, a lease estimate with LGCA for the virtual server. 9.5, the Blackboard Connect annual renewal. 9.6, an out-of-state field trip for basketball. And 9.7, overnight field trip for wrestling.
Do I have a motion? Mr. Powers, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Powers, only. Any questions or comments?
I have a question about the wrestling tournament. I'm not seeing a number of students participating in it. Am I missing that?
It will be determined at the time they make
Okay.
weight and or are able to attend, but it will depend on their roster.
Okay. Because I
As to
see
how
a
many
number of
go.
staff and no chaperones, but no athletes.
Right, I can request, it will be updated
Okay.
closer to that date.
That's fine, I was just,
I'll put that in, I'll make a
Wondering.
note. No, good catch.
yeah. And on the other field trip, just a comment, it would be nice if, when these were filled out, you could actually read them. There are corrections and scratch outs and just a number of things that I was trying to read, and it's just me that I'm trying to read things and figuring out what's going on, and it's not easy.
We will look to an online form for that.
I think it would be easier if it was
Because
typed out.
we are trying to go paperless as much as possible,
Yeah.
so. I will look at that.
We just had training on that and process moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, we already had the program, it's just finalizing it and updating it.
Perfect. All right, any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, Ms. Semick, if you call the roll, please.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Ms. Powers Dolny?
Yes.
Ms. Remington?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes. Item 10, superintendent's non-action items.
This evening, on behalf of Chestnut Principal, Ms. Jamie Smith, I'll be reading or sharing with you. I don't see anyone here for that. They've done a tremendous job communicating with our families about the change of time. And the rationale behind the change of time was an issue we had with some transportation logistics. This has been an ongoing problem since the new schools were built. And we've been in the buildings. It's a logistical nightmare, and as Mr. Haffa, who used to be Director of Transportation, can attest, every provision has been made, and we have our at wit's end, and so we decided it would be in the best interest of losing, or not to lose, educational time anymore by backing up our start time 10 minutes. And Ms. Smith has shared that with her families multiple times. She's provided different outlets for parents to come in and speak with her, as well as working with all the adjacent organizations and staff members. And it's been a tremendous effort on their part, and I think that's why no one's here to hear about it, because they've done a tremendous job getting it out to our families so far. So again, some of the highlights, it will start on January 3rd. That's when we return from our winter break. The new times will be as follows for that. Will be updated on the website as well. And families have received multiple communications, letters sent home, emails, and phone messages, and information on the website has been. Additional communication will be shared with all transportation, daycare vans, Y-Key, and nutritional services. And you'll see an attachment in board docs with the letter that was sent to parents as well. One would think that 10 minutes would not require a lot of effort, but there's a lot that goes on in a 10-minute span when you have 500 little ones logistically to get where they need to be. So again, hats off to Chestnut for getting that information out, and for Mr. Haffa and his staff at Transportation for getting everything together on that.
All right, it doesn't appear that there's any items for 10.2 unless there's something you have. Is there anything you want to discuss for climate and culture?
I would like to just bring up an activity that happened a little over a week ago. I'm losing track of time. Between our special education students, Ms. Pike, and two groups at Lake Erie College. And they hosted a wonderful afternoon of physical activity that I think actually the college students enjoyed a little bit more than the special ed students. But we probably had, I'm going to say 30 at least, students from Students Making a Difference and the Student Athletic Organization set up different games, activities for our special ed students. And it was a wonderful partnership, and we had faculty members who stopped by to say hello. We had one of our deans of natural sciences bring over a whole bunch of t-shirts to hand out to the students, but it was just wonderful to see
the school district and the college providing a special opportunity for our special ed students. So hopefully there will be many more activities like that.
I have one, and I know I shared it online, but also I see Mrs. Camper out there. And Mrs. Camper and Mrs. Fife Yoakum were at the Ohio School Board's presenting as we were selected as one of the school districts 2% at this year's Capital Conference on our book box as well as our lunch box. And we had a lot of traffic through that area of the convention center. Some great ideas were exchanged as well as sharing what we're doing here at PCLS and highlighting the events that took place last summer. It was great to see us on the cutting edge of what's being done, because there were many robotic clubs there, but there were no book boxes. So we were unique in that. Next year maybe we'll get to take the food service mobile unit down and the books with it. But lots of good feedback from other school board members, administrators, and actually a lot of parents came through on the days that we were there in the booth. So thank you, Mrs. Camper, for getting that together and getting the board to present at Ohio School Board's Conference. So that was a proud moment again to have PCLS highlighted.
Ms. Remington, did you want to have anything to say about the Capitol Conference? Or?
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to go. Interesting topics this year, and I did start at 9 and finish at 5 those days. But it seemed that many of the workshops that I attended had to do with communication, about school partnerships, partnerships with businesses, the importance of career partnering, the importance of communicating and getting into the community. Communications was, again, just a real, what do parents want to know? Are we sharing our story, and what is the most effective way to do so? Social media and, all the different ways that they were looking at. I also attended a number of board workshops on how the board can work more effectively with parents, how it can work more effectively in the community, how it can work more effectively with our employees. So I just happened to bring a few things back with me that you might like to look through. And you are more than welcome to. I will take them over to the board office, and if there's something in particular that you would like to read up on, please feel free. But it was a great experience, and I'll go back next year. I had so much fun. So thank you. It was a lot of good networking and good ideas.
Can you put that in the meeting minutes?
So noted. But also along with that.
We'll attend next year. Got it. Capital letters, big bold.
One of the last board meetings, we talked about kind of coming back and sharing that responsibility of what we learn when we go out for professional development. Sure. So we've been kicking around some different forms and formats for presenting that. I know Ms. Powers-Dolney had mentioned that to us, and I have some formats. So I'm going to send it out probably in my board update as to what that might look like and get some feedback, because we'll submit it via Google Forms. And but it is important because it is an investment that we make in our staff.
Absolutely.
And we do have some responsibility to report back to that. Now, most of what we do in professional development comes back directly as training for our staff. But often it's I call it sit and get, but sometimes that sit and get is just as valuable, but it only stops, or it's only as valuable as it ends with you. You have to spread out what you learn to others. So I have a form, and I'm going to I'll probably send it off to you if that's okay.
and then we'll work around that, because I think it's important that we follow up with what we spend our money on professional development. So I wanted to throw that out there because it's a good thing.
And I don't think it needs to be anything that's
No.
labor intensive for anybody. But, you know, whether it's a teacher, administrator, or school resource officer, we need to know, you know, what you learned.
Exactly.
How you can use it.
If I may, at the roundtable meeting last Thursday, we had a pretty good turnout. I mean, I think it was one of our larger turnouts. There were about 10, maybe 12 parents. A lot of topics, a lot of discussion. They actually had a nice flow and a nice tone, a lot of positive and some critical conversations we had too. But I do have minutes that I will send to the board as well as Mr. Chaco as well, just to get those out there. But thanks for attending, and thanks to Mr. McGreevy. He actually came prepared with donuts, or excuse me, with cookies and water, which was nice. But it was probably one of the bigger turnouts we've had. So even though we were conflicting with conferences in 2 buildings, that activity and some others, it was really a good turnout. So I'll get to those minutes.
I think that's great to hear, because I was even questioning the purpose of those, and if they were really being what they were intended to be used for. I think often it's easy for you to come and want to talk about your own child's experience, and that is obviously not what the Red Raider Roundtable is about. So that was one of the things I was going to bring up later, if it was actually doing what it had intended
Sure.
to be created.
Well, and
for.
Steve did a very good job at the beginning, kind of laying the groundwork, saying, you know, this really isn't the place for individualized conversation. And he did an excellent job, and the topics stayed very focused on big picture issue items, not personal, you know.
From safety and
Concerns or
driveways
gripes.
and the streets to the new sidewalk. Thank you again.
Mhm.
Thanking that. But, you know, to, you know, surprise very positive feedback too from new students into the district and new family that had attended. So probably, like I say, one of the more productive meetings of that forum that I've attended.
Very good.
Yeah, that's true, that,
We'll have you in all of them.
I'm not going to volunteer on TV.
No, we'll see, it's a trade-off. You do that, and I'll do the OSBA.
anything else on culture and climate? All right. Personnel, item 11.
Yes, 11.1, change of assignment. 11.2, leaves. 11.3, extended time. 11.4, stipends. 11.5, compensation for professional development. 11.6, certified substitutes. 11.7, classified substitutes. 11.8, supplemental pupil activity. 11.9, fall sports gate help. 11.10, the hourly rate for gate, clock, event setup, etc.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Costello, Ms. Dolly's Powers. Oh, jeez, I'm sorry, it's been a long day. Any conversation?
Oh, mine is.
Hearing none, Ms. Semick, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Powers Dolman?
Yes.
Ms. Remington?
Abstain?
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes. Item 12, professional visits note.
Yes, 12.1, professional visits taken from the general fund. 12.2, professional visits taken from grant funding.
Is there a motion for this?
So moved.
Ms. Powers Dolman.
Second.
Mr. Costello. Any questions or conversation? Hearing none, Ms. Samick, if you call the roll, please.
Ms. Remington?
Yes.
Mr. Cassell?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Ms. Powers Dolly?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes. Item 13, guidelines for public participation. As indicated earlier, the Board of Education provides 2 opportunities for public participation at each regular meeting. This is the second opportunity to address the board on other topics of interest to you. Participants will be allotted 5 minutes to address the Board of Education. This time may be extended by the presiding officer. I would note, as mentioned before, all questions or comments are to be directed to the presiding officer and not to any individual board member or other staff. Is there anyone signed up? No. Okey-doke. Item 14, PCLS Good Things Are Happening, recognizing positive moments and events.
We have multiple events coming up in the month of December. Our students are busily preparing for their holiday winter concerts. Take special note that you can now, on our website, click on the calendars of interest, and they all kind of formulate back into your calendar as to what, like say I have a child at Maple, one at Heritage, and one at Harvey. You can click those and they'll populate what's going on in each of those buildings for you. So that's another good thing that's going on with the website. Also, we had many of our events starting up for winter sports and activities. So again, busy winter. Weather has finally changed, so we know that it's time for our winter sports and our winter activities. So we're looking forward to an excellent holiday season here at PCLS.
Great, thank you. Item 15, executive session.
Mr. President, pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 G3, the board adjourns. I make a motion the board adjourns to an executive session for purpose of conference with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court action.
Second.
Any questions or conversation? Ms. Samick, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Cassell?
Yes.
Mr. Powers? Yes. Ms. Powers Dolly?
Yes.
Ms. Remington?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes. All right, it's 7:52. We will move to executive session. I believe we'll go to the conference room. Thank you, everybody.